Saint Seiya! Hello, welcome to the Nen Show Podcast. This is your host, Craftsdwarf, here with my co-host, Mathwiz. Say hello, Mathwiz.
Pretty boys. That's it. That's the video.
Yeah, they just keep dropping into the manga.
It's like an ocean of pretty boys, like a sea, like a wave.
I see what you're doing there. Comments. So, Box Story had a bunch of long ones that were nice. I don't want to, I read them. I just don't have anything specifically to say. I was just like, oh, cool. Yeah, it was a thread.
There was a comment by the meddling one, which was talking about like going more in depth on like, little parallels they noticed between like Saint Seiya and Bleach, Sanctuary, Soul Society, that sort of thing. And like the part that kind of stood out to me the most from that comment was, kind of like drawing parallels between like Tosen and Shaka.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Just both of them, sorry, brain just trailed off there.
It happens.
But both characters have powers, involving the senses and blind themselves, and well, I mean, Tosen doesn't, they're both blind.
Yeah, no, I understood. Yeah,
or don't use their eyes.
Never
mind.
I didn't read the whole comment, so I didn't see that one. But so there was a brief conversation between Grave and Midi, who talked about, I guess, the recent Netflix adaptation of Saint Seiya. So apparently Shun was turned into a girl, which is kind of, I don't know how I feel about that. That kind of, he's not a pretty boy anymore. He's a tomboy, apparently, is how what they mentioned. I'm like, okay.
That's like the opposite gender thing going on here.
Yeah, it just seems like, I don't know, it seems kind of weird. For that character specifically, I feel, I don't know.
To take a more feminine man and make them like a boyish girl, that's a creative decision.
Yeah, I mean, but apparently they, with the Galaxian tournament, they just made all the matches last 1 minute and spent the most of the episode focusing on, what was it, a military man OC plot? I don't know what that means. So basically it sounds like the Netflix adaptation was not good. I haven't heard that. I did know about Shun being a girl, but what? I don't know, it just seems weird.
I thought it was interesting that, there seemed to be like a consensus in the comments that, Ikki versus Shaka was the best fight of the arc, which I just found interesting.
Okay, yeah.
Because I think that was also the one that you said was your favorite.
That was the one I liked, but I remember you, it was just kind of bled into the other fights for you, which was, made sense. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I did like it. So, and yeah, there was also people mentioning the, how they liked, parts of the anime for the voice acting and stuff, or just as an adaptation, which I assume it doesn't mean the Netflix anime. I assume it means the original one, which I saw. I don't see. It's I don't even remember if I saw any of Knights of the Zodiac, because it just if I did, it just didn't stand out to me enough. Or what was the other? Ronin Warriors was another anime series with the characters in armor, and I'm realizing I may be mixing up memories of the two. Mm-hmm. But I mean, there's still like Ronin Warriors was more like a samurai thing. But yeah, I can't think about it. I don't remember watching it. And if I did, it was English dubbed, so it doesn't count. But yeah, I don't have any more comments to respond to.
I just thought it was neat. Shabes Caribou-kun left a comment about assembling his desk to this, and I'm just like, that's cool. I'm glad podcast can be good little background sort of
yeah.
I can't think of the words I'm looking for, but I hope people find the podcast fun and are able to I don't know, get something out of it.
Yeah. I'm about ready to move into the reading.
It sure was an arc.
Yeah, I was about to ask, how did you feel about the Poseidon arc?
I had sort of the same thing I feel here that I did with Sanctuary, where at the end of it I'm like, oh, okay, this is good. I like this. I like how this concluded and sort of where it's going. But kind of had the same thing throughout the middle of it, where I wouldn't say that it's bad. There I don't know, there were a couple characters that I thought were cool and fun, and but it was just sort of similar to Sanctuary, where it's a lot of fights. Some of the stuff kind of like bleeding together
just
for
like
me.
similar. That's just similar to the whole manga up to this point, where it's like, yeah, there's a lot of fights.
Yeah,
so that makes sense. Because I did like the arc, but it definitely doesn't like majorly change my opinion of Saint Seiya. Any like, yep, still Saint Seiya. It's still, I like it.
Yeah, like I don't really feel like I have a strong opinion either way as to like, was this better than Sanctuary, worse than Sanctuary? I don't know. I kind of had like the same sort of feelings with it.
Yeah, because like it was shorter, but considering that the last what we considered Sanctuary is technically, I would count that as 2 arcs, like the Galaxian Tournament and the Sanctuary arc.
Yeah,
but,
this was a really quick reading.
Right, and in that case, like I felt like there's still like distinct, like there's the Galaxian Tournament, then you have the Dark Saints, and then you have the Silver Saints, and then you have the actual Sanctuary arc proper. So it's like even though it was longer, it doesn't feel like it's still like broken up in a sense, where this was 1 arc, but I didn't feel like, I think I was going somewhere with that, but my brain stopped, so I'll just stop too. But yeah, so anyway, getting to the reading, a new Pretty Boy drops, like, immediately.
Yeah! I like this one.
Yeah, Julian.
Oh, wait, never mind. I was thinking of the wrong character. I mean, he's fine. He's cool, too.
Okay.
He is very pretty and very boy.
And also he's he's like Saori, where he's connected to a god. But yeah, she gets attacked by one of Poseidon's like foot soldiers and gets saved by Airos or Oira. I'm not gonna try. I give up.
I'm fortunate that I don't have to say that name. I can just sort of like work around you.
But yeah, one of the Julius kind of gets informed of like what his deal is with the Poseidon, and the world starts flooding. Yay! Wait, I mean, why I say yay? Literally thousands of people die within days, and it's like, well, this sucks. Anyway, then Tethys, the mermaid, comes to take care of Saori, and gasp! Seiya's alive! How could this be?
I didn't even remember that like they were at the end of the last arc, like on the brink of death or whatever. Because I think the arc kind of gets to that end point and kind of wraps up relatively quickly. So it's just like I don't know. Like it's like, oh, we had the triumphant happy ending, so it's like, yeah, everybody's fine. And it's like, no.
Yeah, no. I knew they were all dead, but I was just like, whenever I referred to it, I was like, yeah, there's fucking 18 volumes left. They'll be fine. Or so 15 volumes left. I don't remember. So
yeah, it might have just been more with that assumption of like, yeah, they'll be back. Like the manga obviously doesn't end here, so I just like didn't even stop and process it. Like, no, technically they're dead.
Right, and no, and yeah, of course they're not dead. They're all in intensive care. But the moment Saori's in danger, they all start to get back up. Also, it was kind of nice to see Taurus again, because you even mentioned he was one of the more memorable ones from the little one-off fights. Yeah. So I was like, "Yay, Taurus!" And then he immediately dies, and I'm like, "No, Taurus." Well, he doesn't immediately die. He immediately appears to die, and then he's not actually dead, but then he dies. Not to confuse anyone.
See, the problem is that his pretty boy power level wasn't high enough. He put too much of his I tried to make like a game joke there, and it immediately fizzled out.
No, I understand. Oh no, it's because Siren is much prettier. So, yeah, Taurus didn't stand a chance. He has a name, but it's easier to remember him by his cloth. Shut up.
I mean, I feel like that's kind of the case with a lot of the characters. Like, what is this guy's name? I just see, because I always just think of him as Siren.
Right. But I think it's Sorrento. Yeah,
Sorrento.
Yeah. But yeah, it's easy because like, especially when what they're named after has such like they're it's Greek mythology. It's a context that we're all kind of like aware of on some level, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I agree. It makes sense. Or the zodiacs in the case of the the saints. and the constellations. Like, we're familiar with these ideas from other things, from, just where they come from and other things that reference them. So, it comes to mind first. And obviously for the main characters it's a little different, but we get so much of them in comparison. Like, I don't expect to see Siren in the next arc. So remembering his name is like, I don't feel the particular need to. I mean, now Sorrento, like, it's in my brain right now. Well, ask me again in a week and we'll see what happens. So Athena goes to Julius or Poseidon, and they or Julian. I don't remember. I don't even remember his name right now. But she it definitely, I can see why people might compare this to Sanctuary, but even then, like, the context with the sort of timer on Athena's life is really different. Yeah. Because, like, in the last arc, it was more like, she was under attack by the Master and his machinations. But in this case, she's, like, sacrificing herself to protect more of humanity. So there's a slight difference between, like, saving Saori from the Master versus now they're saving Saori from, like, herself almost. Which is, it's good. And of course it factors into, like, how the ending wraps up with, Athena loving humans and all. I didn't feel like I got, the kind of, I didn't get too strong of, like, Sanctuary vibes from this arc. I didn't really at all either. Sure, oh my god, it's a bunch of fights one after the other.
Yeah, but that's not really, like, just a specifically, like, Sanctuary codified
That's the whole manga so far, and it's probably going to be the whole manga going forward. Like, that's just how Saint Seiya, and not even just Saint Seiya, but just how... Like, again, I'm going to, say the forbidden word, Kinnikuman, was also just kind of a lot of fights, and it just kind of kept going, right? Like, it's not even exclusively a Saint Seiya thing. But anyway, the Saints get up, Athena's in danger, so they recover, and they get their bronze cloths back, and they find, I believe, or if they don't find, they find out that they were, like, because they were restored with the blood of the Gold Knights, which did end up making them stronger a bit. So they're kind of, like, carrying on the wills of the Gold Knights who... Because, like, they're kind of, like, not in the arc, but they do kind of explain that, where it's, like, like, there's even a suggestion that maybe the whole situation is being manipulated by someone who, Hades, might want to take care of whoever wins the conflict after they're weakened. Yeah. Right? So it makes sense they keep the Gold Knights back and let the Bronze Saints, I keep saying Knights, do the work. Just, they're strong, and
I'm just sort of waiting now for, like, they're still technically the Bronze Saints, but they have, like, the cloths have been infused with gold, and I'm like, when are they just going to become Gold Saints? Like, is that going to be what the last arc is?
I mean, it did kind of happen at the end there. Where they're taking out, like, I think Hyoga took on the Aquarius cloth because that was Comus's, and obviously they have the Sagittarius one. So maybe in the next arc they're just gonna okay, fuck it, let's just use the gold cloths now, because, like, at this point it's like, why not? Especially when there's so many, like, I mean, they're even talking. There's even a point where they're talking about how there's openings in the Gold Saints, and who's the strongest? The Bronze Saints. They're the ones most best fit to take the position.
Although maybe there will be a sort of, like, Naruto Genin thing where it's like, you don't ever, because, like, the novelty of being the Bronze Saints is too powerful.
Yeah, that's true. Especially because, like, that's their look, right? Like, even is like that we're used to these designs that they have normally, right? So if Seiya suddenly puts on the Libra cloth, he no longer has his dragon cloth, so it looks different, right? So like, I guess that's the thing. It's like nowadays we're kind of used to design changes and stuff, especially with time skips and stuff. But, like, we talked about, like, Toriyama and his former editor Torishima being, like, terrified that people were gonna heavily dislike Goku growing up. But everyone was fine with it, right? Like, so, I don't know exactly, I'd have to check the dates for this, but, it came out at a time period where the big design changes weren't normal. So, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see how it wraps up in the next arc, though.
Although with the Saint Seiya characters, like, you really could age up these designs, and they, like, you could just be like, oh, they're 10 years older now, and they could look exactly the same, and I'd be like, yeah I'd buy that.
Right? Like, you pointed out, like, what? I don't buy that they're 13. I'm like, wait, they're 13 and 14? Like, excuse me? Because, it's funny. So anyway, they break off to go destroy the pillars, because they need to destroy the pillars to, bring down Poseidon's sanctuary and just overall just stop the flooding of Earth. And of course, they can save Athena too. So we get Seiya versus the seahorse, Bion.
I really wish I could say anything about Seiya as a protagonist.
I mean, yeah, he's like hot-blooded, and he's, hot-blooded. I mean, he's a good boy. And he definitely had like some moments, especially in like the earlier parts of the reading. But when he's like, that's the thing is when the manga is all fighting, then you can only really show so much of their personality, right? Because like how they act in a fight. So if we don't get how much they act outside of the fight, then it's like we got a lot of Seiya's hot-bloodedness, and yeah.
I would say like between like the main 5, like I think like definitely Shun and Shiryu and Ikki I find more interesting. And then like I mean Hyoga's kind of give or take with me, but even then I still feel like I kind of have more to latch onto with him than Seiya.
At this, like, because considering like his whole character, like I'd still like. I mean, Hyoga's definitely got more going on, but I've also been never super interested in what he had going on so far.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Seiya, like, there was some stuff I liked from him. It's just like it just doesn't show up that much. Like the maybe one thing I'm remembering is like when you have the illusions later, and he sees Marin, and that happens, but it was just an illusion. So it's like okay, right. But
I've closed the comments unfortunately, but it did remind me of someone in the comments had talked about how like Hyoga's sort of a character like haunted by his past, and kind of get that with his master and like his dead mother, and when his sort of like his friend rival person from his past shows up in this arc. So like there's definitely something with him, and and then Seiya.
And I don't know if that was the same comment or another one, but I did remember someone saying that, like, especially, like, I guess later on, like, Hyoga ended up becoming their favorite, and maybe they were counting this arc and the next arc. But, so that's cool. I mean, Saint Seiya, like, I don't expect the Hades arc to be, like, to get me, like, way more invested in the series, so I kind of feel like, I definitely like it. It's just not something I exceptionally like, I guess. So, but I still, but maybe, well, then again, we still have, like, Lost Canvas eventually, which I've heard people say is better than Saint Seiya. So, I don't know. Well, we'll feel. But, and I'll personally probably catch up to Next Dimension on my own time, even though we're not reading it for the Nen Show.
So, wait, like, what is the difference between, like, or what is, like, the like, what came out first, Next Dimension or Lost Canvas?
I don't know which, but I know Lost Canvas, the one we're reading, is over, but there is apparently another Lost Canvas that I guess is the sequel. I don't know. Apparently, as I understand it, so someone who knows more about Saint Seiya, I think, I feel like I've heard talk about it. Basically, originally when they came out, they were planned together, even though Kuramada was the one doing Next Dimension, and someone else was doing Lost Canvas. But since then, I guess there's been contradictory information. So basically, they don't exist in the same continuity, basically, or they contradict each other. So they're just like stories related to Saint Seiya, which I don't mind personally. But I think Lost Canvas, the one we're reading, is over. There's another thing called Lost Canvas, which I presume is a sequel. I'd have to double check. But I think Lost Canvas is a prequel to Saint Seiya, and Next Dimension is a sequel. So basically, I guess there's connections between them, but they go in opposite directions from Saint Seiya, basically.
Okay.
So we'll figure it out when we read Lost Canvas, and like I said, I'll figure out the rest when I read Next Dimension. That's my understanding. I'm sure someone in the comments will reaffirm or deny. Seiya wins. There's the whole thing with, like, he's inherited the sort of will of the Gold Knights, because his cloth is stronger, and also he's just more experienced in battle now, so he's able to learn and improve still. It's a fight. And at least the Libra cloth comes up again, because I remember last time we were like, oh yeah, the Libra cloth, everyone gets weapons, and then they don't use them anymore. So they still don't use them in the fights, which I guess makes sense, because it's not really fit to their fighting style necessarily. Right? Like Seiya uses a shield to take down the pillar, but can he punch with a shield at light speed? Probably not. So that makes sense. But it's neat to see the Libra cloth come in again. So
and even like the kid, he gets to play a role.
Yes, that was also surprising. Anyway, we get Shun's fight against Skilla. The art is still good. No need to, or do I need to belabor that? Yes. Because I know some of the panels with like the way the like illusory beasts are drawn. Is neat. And yeah, I guess the fight starts out with like Shun attacking and not attacking like the woman part of Scylla, but then that's sort of like the hiding the reality and with the illusions and stuff. And like it's just kind of commented on like because Shun still has mercy and kindness and stuff. But yeah, like Shun just kind of like even though he was called out for that kindness, he kind of maintains it, and he does attack the pillar and kind of ignores Scylla Io. I don't, never mind. So why did I try to pronounce the name that I don't know how to pronounce? Maybe I'm pronouncing Scylla wrong too. I don't even know. But yeah, he sort of like holds on to those ideals, and he's able to get the strength to win. And also like just the versatility of his chains, where he's able to like come up with a counter to each of the beasts, is kind of neat.
Yeah.
Then we get Shiryu's fight against no, I'm not even gonna try and pronounce that. Never mind, I quit. Chris. God damn it. I quit. I'm leaving the Nen Show. No, I'm kidding.
That's the continual Nen Show bit of Craftsdwarf figuring out how to pronounce words.
Hogyoku. No, I'm not doing it again. But yeah, this one was Shiryu's cool as usual. Like he kind of the fight was all about equipment and gear, so he sheds it and he becomes stronger. And
I just love how like the recurring things with Shiryu, where it's like I will shed my cloth, and just do the straight up straight up fisticuffs, and also just like he became blind again over the course of this arc, and it's just like these little recurring things with him. But like, yeah, no, Shiryu is by far I think the coolest of the five. Just because, I don't know. He's a good boy.
That's understandable. I'm not sure if he's my favorite, but like he's definitely like there's a bingo sheet for him, and he fills it out he gets at least one bingo a match. It's like blindness, dies, self-sacrifice, sheds his cloth,
dragon tattoo.
He's just very much got a very clear like fight aesthetic thing going on that he just it's
Yeah, it has surprised me that I like him more than Shun, considering Shun is like the prettiest pretty boy.
Yeah. Right.
But Shiryu's just cool. He's a badass. He's good.
Yeah, and like the thing with the chakras, and he like breaks through the chakras was kind of cool.
Yeah. I don't really have like a ton to say about this fight, but I did really like it because it's a Shiryu fight.
Yeah. His fights are definitely like cool. I agree for sure.
I could see myself like going back to the first arc where he fights Seiya and just being like, yeah, let's go, because now like I understand Shiryu's deal and I know who he is, and it would just be
right.
I don't know.
Yeah. So yeah, then we get Hyoga fighting, and first he runs into Kamas, and he thinks that it's or I think so, right? Yeah, he thinks it's his master, but it's actually an illusion, which Seiya also falls into when he encounters Marin. And like at this point I kind of noticed, like, because it's also kind of there was Scylla, who has the woman who sort of betrays or hides the monsters underneath. Like there's just a recurring aspect of just like illusions, and I guess seduction as another thing, which I think makes sense when you consider how like the arc is kind of about like part of it is also just leaning into the Greek myth, which just like, and the elements there that are just being borrowed inherently, but also just like Siren, right? The seductiveness of song, almost like they're kind of like trying to get the humans to fall to their human like desires and earthly wants and needs and things, rather than where as they're trying to save Athena, who's sacrificing herself to save humanity. So it's like Poseidon wants to cleanse the earth of humanity, so you have the bad guys who are trying to like tempt the main characters through their humanity.
Suddenly
almost.
A lot of this arc just clicks with me now, and I'm like, how did I not? It was right in front of me. It's right there. How did I not?
No, yeah, I understand. No, because I kind of like I was kind of getting there during the reading, and I didn't think it quite clicked, because I just noticed the recurring thing with the seductiveness of the the sea almost through the antagonists, and how they sort of like leaned into that. It's especially apparent here. But like I said, it didn't really click with me until I got to the end of the reading, and it really like drives home, that aspect of the conflict with Poseidon and Athena, and I was like, oh, okay, I think it makes sense now. And of course, it is a little different with Shun, because Shun, with there's either like he has to accept Ikki's death, but he can't because Ikki's not dead. The phoenix never dies. Because like Shun does fight back a bit better, but isn't able to win. But then Phoenix Ikki comes in, and it's not as cool as an entrance as he got last time, but it's still pretty cool.
Yeah, no, he always gets a cool entrance. I do think the one thing about this fight, again, just like, more art good, just like that 1-2 page spread where it's like the like planetary space galaxy like dimensional warp move again, but then like this time there's the clock tower and like a plane and the like bed of skulls and coins, and
I think you're talking about, is that the Bermuda Triangle attack?
Yeah, the Golden Triangle.
That one was a pretty wild one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just like, how do we make these 2-page spreads more galaxy brain? Like the outer space stuff was already like really cool aesthetically, and it was a lot. And now it's just like, well, how do we add more to that?
Yeah, like he keeps topping himself, and it's like, holy shit.
Kuramada that's is wild, a madman.
Right. And just like the visuals continue to be like hey, the abstract attacks, and it's that just only seem to accomplish blowing the armor off of the opponent, but it's cool. It is hot-blooded. So yeah. But yeah, there's the whole thing where like Ikki, the guy who is using the illusion, whose name I forget, sort of disguises himself as Shun, and Ikki's sort of able to like break through the illusion and attack his own brother. And of course, as part of his reasoning, it's like, well, my brother's right there, idiot. Like, when you're trying to pretend someone who's already like unconscious on the ground, like 5 feet away. But yeah, like he is exploiting those loves, and they bring up like Esmeralda again.
Yeah, I really like the part where Ikki was like, no, I've shed all my tears. Like I'm above these human emotions or whatever. And then like afterwards, it's like, no, you're not. You moron. Like right, you big tough guy. You think you're so special, but really you're just a big softie.
Yeah, and like it's even noted that like if he'd been able to find Esmeralda in his like mind, he would have, and disguised as her, he would have been able to win. Because yeah, he did have that love.
Wait, does this mean Ikki is the edgy soft boy of Saint Seiya?
You're right, he is. Cause yeah, he's like, I've given up on love and tears. But no, he hasn't at all. He was, and I think there's even the part where he mentions how like, love can also make you stronger. Like he at the end of it, like once he remembers Esmeralda, he does realize that he was wrong. I like that one. I think Ikki is like the standout character for me from the series.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we get like Hyoga and Isaac. So and part of me would have that moment of just like, wait, are we supposed to know this character? I'm pretty sure he hasn't shown up before. But whenever like because he has a backstory with Hyoga, and Hyoga recognizes him. So am I as a reader supposed to recognize him? And like, no. But I definitely had that thought of like, oh no, am I stupid?
I mean, this also was an arc that had a lot of characters. Callbacks to characters from Sanctuary.
Exactly.
Like, Hyoga's mentor and Saga, and there were like another one or two that I remember showing up. I did have a moment though where I was like, wait, which one was Saga again? Oh, just the main antagonist of the last arc. It's fine.
See, I had like the inverse reaction where it's like when he took off his mask and it's Saga, and I was like, Saga, like, no, you bastard, you're alive somehow, and he wasn't. But but yeah, I did like the Isaac and Hyoga conflict, since like Isaac had like almost a more noble goal that like where Hyoga's was more selfish in a sense, and so he kind of like let Hyoga have the swan cloth, but then he was bitter about that. But then like I guess because Hyoga's is still like a good goal, like he still had the like because Hyoga won not with his own will, I guess, but he used the the attack from Kamas, the Aquarius Knight. So it's like, Kamas ultimately agrees with Hyoga, I suppose, over Isaac, is what I kind of took from that.
Mm-hmm.
I guess another way you can look at it is that, like, Isaac kind of gave up on his humanity after, dealing with his past and stuff, or the stuff that he did in the past, where Hyoga was able to hold on to it, maybe. So, I don't know. I had to think about it more.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then we get Ikki keeps going, and he runs into Saga, not really. It turns out it's actually canon, which means that Saga is not canon. Yeah, that was bad. I'm sorry. But yeah, it turns out canon is Eve. Like, there were, of course, the Gemini Knight was also a twin. So that was just kind of like, oh yeah, that makes sense moment.
I forgot that I can't. You have Discord sounds muted because I left the call briefly to like be like a you made the bad joke, and I'm like, oh, I left the call, but then you can't hear me, and I forgot that you can't hear me.
I didn't notice. I'm sorry.
No, the bit is ruined.
I just kept talking like normal. I'm sorry. But
I mean, what's the difference? Me being here, me not being here.
But anyway, as I was saying, like I kind of went like, oh yeah, of course the Gemini Knight or Saint would have had a twin, but and for some reason I didn't think about that. But yeah, anyway, canon is evil, and Saga was good but had an evil dwelling in his heart. And then we get the golden triangle where it's like, holy shit. What is this attack even supposed to be?
Yeah, that spread was crazy.
No, I've seen it before because people have posted it. And it's like, yeah, no, it's pretty fucking crazy. I agree. Like, there's a reason it stands out. Anyway, rest in peace, Phoenix. He's gone.
Oh, not again. He's dead again. It's just like, hi, Ikki, bye, Ikki.
Damn it, he got sent off into the endless cosmos again.
It's like the Yamcha's here. Yamcha's dead.
That's right, someone in the comments actually compared Jabu to Yamcha because he's a simp and he also doesn't exist after a certain point, I guess, or he just gets jobbed. I don't know.
Jabu.
But yeah, we do get Kanon's backstory, I think, later. Or no, I guess that's later. Never mind. But yeah, Seiya encounters Poseidon, who has such a strong Cosmo that he can't even, like, he just reflects all the attacks aimed at him.
Actually, now that I think about it, like, bringing up Jabu again, it just got me thinking about Seiya, and, like, how, I also thought of it, like, in the comments, like, somebody, I think, said that, like, there was a joke in Gintama at one point about, there being a princess that, like, discards a unicorn for a Pegasus or something. And it just made me think about, like, Seiya originally had, like, conflict with Saori, and there was, like, and that's, like, Jabu was there as, like, the one defending her. But because, like, they never really had a conflict or anything, and, like, Jabu's no longer really around, Seiya just kind of, I don't think that conflict between Saori and Seiya is even still there. So now he's just kind of like, the protector guy along with everybody else. And
no, yeah,
I don't know. Mm-hmm. It like took a bit of an edge off his character, I guess.
Yeah, well, I guess the one reason is that, like, they even interact in this reading? Like, barely.
No, yeah.
Just because, like, Athena, like, they just don't have a lot of time with each other. And the other thing, I guess, is, like, well, because the whole thing with Saori, especially at the end of Sanctuary, is that, like, I guess the idea is that she's grown up, right? Like, she's no longer the bratty, spoiled princess she used to be, because she had to, like, become Athena. And, I do, like, not that like, she's definitely still has, like, a bit of a harsh personality almost. Like, just remembering some of the interactions with Julian. Why did I say, I don't even know anymore. At the beginning, she's still, like, she's not dainty or anything all of a sudden. Dying. Hold on 1 second.
Oh no.
Like, yeah, she's not dainty all of a sudden. She's still, Saori to a degree, but, I think, all right, maybe that's it. Maybe she's matured a bit, so, Seiya wouldn't have a reason to argue with her, but, like, again, they don't have very many interactions, so if that element is still there, it's being very downplayed just by the way that the arc went,
Yeah.
So I understand, because they're all defending her, of course. But I hadn't thought about it like that actually. So, but anyway, then we get Shun versus Siren, and I didn't realize it because I think I read them on the 2 parts on 2 different days. Because like with the skill of fight, you have Shun being told to not be, shed that kindness and mercy and stuff. But against Siren, he even notices that he realized like an evil person can't create this kind of beautiful music, and like Shun kind of keeps holding on to that kindness, and but like by and doing that like unleashes his sort of hidden power that just completely defeats Siren. So I guess like there's just a recurring thing with Shun's character, and I think someone kind of brought it up a bit in the comments where it's like, because he is a man, but like he still has these qualities that can be called effeminate, like that mercy and kindness and stuff. And he gets strength from that, which I think is neat. Unless you had something else to say about the Shun and Siren fight.
Pretty boys.
It's like how in usually you get like, okay, there's a one female antagonist and there's one female protagonist, so therefore they're going to fight. In this case it's like there's the pretty boy Shun. And who's the prettiest antagonist? Okay, Shun's definitely going to fight them, right?
That's true, yeah, because like with Aphrodite in the last,
right?
Yeah, but at least this time, Sorrento didn't die,
right?
So there may potentially be more of him to come. Maybe
he lives to be pretty another day. So anyway, Ikki just comes back because he does. And he goes to he encounters Kanon again, and we get Kanon's backstory where he was like Saga trapped him in that cage to die, but he sort of kept fighting and kept living, and Athena was also supporting him, praying for him to live even though he was evil and stuff, and like, which I guess kind of how it worked out is Saga was a good person who had evil in his heart, but then Kanon was an evil person who turned out to have good in his heart at the end.
Yeah.
Right, which I think really fits with the... Actually, shit, I didn't even think about that with the whole humanity angle, because, like, okay, so here's Kanon, a person who we had no reason to believe was anything but evil, but even he is capable of good, right? Which, goes back, because Poseidon, he kind of manipulated the whole thing with Poseidon and getting rid of all humanity and stuff.
Yeah.
But even he had a goodness to him, right? So, which kind of shows Poseidon as being, maybe humanity doesn't need to be extinguished. But anyway, then we get back to Seiya, where he's using the Sagittarius arrow to try and attack Poseidon. I will say, I definitely thought it was a little silly at a couple points with the arrow thing. Just because he was being persistent, hot-blooded and stuff, and shooting the arrow multiple times.
Yeah.
But just the way that you kind of had other people come in to block the arrow, it reminded me of this. Which I'll send in Mathwiz. I'm not gonna put it on screen, but there's a comic where someone's shooting a gun at like a person, and then another person like jumps in front of him, is like no, and then the person that was being blocked, like their body stretches and bends, and in front of the person who's blocking them, they go no, and then like the person who is jumping, their body bends, and like they're protecting each other from the bullet. It's a really silly comic, but I thought of it when thinking about the arrow, just because like I don't know, the way that you have people continually jumping in front of the arrow that Seiya keeps shooting, like something about the whole situation was just ended up being a little silly to me. Like I still like how it ended up because it's friendship. But
yeah, it's kind of like everybody trying to do
the
the self-sacrifice thing of like what's her name?
Athena?
No, the other one. Hang on. I know.
Shit, I know you're talking about the black. The one.
Sheena. Yeah,
Yes.
because like Sheena jumps in front of Seiya, and then Seiya jumps in front of Sheena, and then Shiryu jumps in front of Seiya, and then Hyoga jumps in front of Shiryu.
That was the specific interaction that I like, because her jumping in with like I was like, okay, that makes sense. But then like Seiya blocking, but then Shiryu blocking. At that point I was like, okay, this is getting a little absurd for me. But yeah, it is cool how it ends up where it's like friendship. Everyone puts their power and their cosmos into the arrow, and they overpower Poseidon, and they're finally able to like strike him, and they also kind of bring back, like, because he's being manipulated, so they bring back the human inside of him that has been like sort of rubbed out almost. And yeah, for the final battle they get that they keep putting on gold cloths, like I mentioned earlier. And they're able to knock Poseidon down, and then they go to save Athena. But then you get Siren sort of realizing, like, hey, maybe, this was wrong. Athena loves humanity. He decided, it's cool. And they all, like, work together to break open the mainstay. And I also like the comment about how, like, gods gave humans the ability to create miracles, so they're able to pull out the impossible victory and save her. It's cool.
You also get Ikki coming in at the end and, like, holding back Poseidon, and, like, he doesn't die.
Yeah. What do you mean Phoenix doesn't die? That's, like, his whole thing. But yeah, then you get the ending of the arc where the place is flooding because Poseidon's lost. So which one was it? I don't remember their name, but I think turns out one of the knights was reincarnated from a fish, who Julian was kind to before, and so he saves Julian, and then we see after the fact that Julian is with Siren, and they've he was a rich capitalist, but now he's given all of his money to help people, and he's become a better person. And then it kind of meets the there's the thing with the fish again, the reincarnation, and it's nice. I like how it wraps up.
I also thought it was very, very, like, surface level joke where it's like, oh, it ends with the fish, and then it says Finn, as in, like, finale, like, end.
Yeah, because, like, I don't even, like, yeah, that's funny. But yeah, I'm trying to think if I like it more than Sanctuary or not, because, like, it was definitely good.
Also,
but it's also, like...
There was the one page where, like, Sorrento comes back, and he's like, oh, I'm just a music student. And then it just has, like, the silhouettes of them, like, holding hands with, like, the waves crashing in the background. And I was just like, this is a vibe.
Yeah, that's... You're right. Yeah, I forgot about that panel. Oh yeah, one thing didn't mention, but the sound effects have definitely gotten less obtrusive, which is really good.
Yeah.
Like, looking through it again, because I feel like I didn't... If that was the case last reading, I didn't mention it or notice it. But I'm, like, looking through again, it's like they're still big, but they were big in the original manga too.
Yeah. I haven't had any complaints, really, with the translation after that first sort of arc.
Right, like, they're still doing, like, Sienna instead of Saori, but it's like, well, what are they going to do? Change the character's name mid-manga? Like, I understand.
Yeah, because, like
even One Piece
is
still
One Piece is still going with Zolo, because, like, once you started with it.
Yeah, it's kind of, right, especially when you have, like, 100, like, if they were going to change it, there was a point where they could have changed it, but they didn't, so it's like, yeah, we're stuck with it. Oh, well. Like, I don't mind. I know what the character... I've been referring to her as Saori, because I know what she's called.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if that's my favorite arc yet. Like, it was solid, and I don't know, because, like, it didn't have a fight that I liked as much as Ikki versus Shaka, I think, but it was like, nice, it was short and sweet, and I do like the conflict overall.
Like, maybe that's a little, a point in its favor is that, it wasn't as long as Sanctuary, so there was just kind of, you get into it, it's just a little nice little bite-sized reading, and you go through, and it's like, yeah, that was pretty solid.
Right. Which could very much be a problem with the next reading, where we're reading volumes 19 to 28. 10-volume reading. Haven't had one of those in a while. Yay! So yeah, we're reading the Hades arc next time. How did I know it was called the Hades arc? Don't mind that.
Whatever could it mean?
Whatever. I don't know.
Oh, I also... That just made me think of... when Ikki came back and was like the I forget exactly how he said it, but something along the lines of like the demons of Hades couldn't handle me or something like that, which is why he keeps coming back to life. It was just I don't know. It was amusing. It was very 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 tough guy, cool guy line.
No, yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how the last arc goes, considering like. How is it going to tie back to older stuff? How is it going to... Because, like, it's already been built up to in... I mean, like, they did mention at the end of Sanctuary that, like, Saga was aware of the idea of other gods, like, coming to, threaten Earth and stuff. But I feel like Hades specifically has gotten more mention just in this arc, if anything.
Yeah.
So I do kind of wonder how that's going to go. I have been kind of spoiled as to what his, like, deal is conflict-wise. and like how he differs from like Poseidon and Athena a little bit, but it'll be cool to see the full context of that.
I have no context.
So I won't mention anything. Don't worry, I wasn't planning on it. So yeah, thank you for listening, and Saint Seiya, pretty boys. See you next time.
What can I do to stall out the episode just a couple minutes longer to make sure that it doesn't end up shorter than the Gintama podcast?
I don't know. Anyway, thank you for listening. Goodbye.
No.